Yeah, yeah.
And how long after you were married did you have your first child?
About 3 years.
In Hythe?
No. I was trying to think the other day and I couldn't. Whether I was pregnant before Dad decided to join the Air Force or whether it was after. It must have been after. I don't think I was pregnant. No, I wasn't pregnant when he decided to join the Air Force. No, because I remember saying to him, if you're so determined to do this, you know, and that sort of thing, you better do it now before we start a family. So I couldn't have been pregnant until he joined up.
So what precipitated the joining up?
Well, you see, this was about 1937, 7, probably. And it's funny, we went to a matinee at the Pictures one afternoon, some film we wanted to see, and he had the afternoon free, so we went along to this matinee, just along the road from us. And this little, he was called Belisha Beacon. Do you remember the air? Well, he was one of them. He was the Minister for Air. Little bloke he was. He came on in the course of the, in the sort of intro, calling for blokes to join the Air Force. Marvellous career, and the other. So, of course, Dad started, talking about this. I knew his heart was, previously in the Air Force, and we sort of talked about it. And then I think I said to him, well, look, if you see anything in it and you want to do it, you feel there's a career, and I said, you better do it before we start a family. So it wasn't long after that when he went up to Air Ministry and came back, joined up.
How did you feel about that?
Well, I thought, well, if that's what he wants to do, it's an opportunity. I mean, we didn't see it. The war wasn't mentioned, love, but I mean, in hindsight, I can see that that's what they were building up to, in hindsight. But you can't, although Hitler was getting quite talked about in England and all that, but we didn't visualise a war, not ordinary people like us. Whether Dad did, I don't know, he never mentioned it, but no, we didn't even think about a war. No. But looking at it, he wanted bigger Air Force, didn't he?
What was it about the Air Force that attracted Dad?
I don't know. But that's what he joined up before. He joined up when he left school, and his aunt wouldn't let him go.
What was aeroplanes the attraction?
Yes, mechanical side of it, I think. Yeah.
And where did you go? Where did you live then after he joined up?
Well, then we had to wait a while. You see, I mean, you weren't called up the next week, and he had to give his notice into the Prudential and work his, I don't know, months. I don't know how. I can't remember now. And then he had to wait and see what they were going to do with him and where they were going to put him and so on and so forth. See? And during that time, I think I must have realised I was pregnant.
Had you been trying for a baby?
Well, I think we didn't worry too. I mean, in the beginning we were very careful because we couldn't possibly have afforded it, you know. But I think we got a bit lax after about 3 years and didn't worry too much, so I did fall pregnant. And then he got to that, he had to go to, I think it was somewhere, Cranwell or somewhere anyway. And at a certain, it gave us a month, get good notice sort of thing. So we decided that it was no good me staying at Hythe on my own with no support down there from family or anything. And he was, you know, goodness knows, because you had to go for initial training. And so we packed up our bits and pieces, and I came back to London, you see, and lived with my parents. And booked in at King's College Hospital in Denmark Hill for Ian, prenatal, and went there. And was to have the baby there, but I didn't. They had an infection in the ward actually, and I had to go somewhere else. But still, that's another story. Yeah. Well, then Dad came down weekends, you see, most weekends, and we couldn't do anything about anything until we knew he was through his initial training and where they were going to put him.
And how was it moving back with your parents after being independent?
Well, I was always independent, Heather. I was a cuss, you see. I mean, you know, yeah, it was, well, I sort of helped around and visited relatives and that sort of, yeah, and did a few odds. And then I had his aunt was round the corner, and, you know, and used to go there sometimes. And
what preparations did you make for the baby?
Oh, I did a bit of knitting and things. I had a lot of things given to me too. Yeah, did a bit of knitting and one thing and another.
And what was his reaction when you first discovered you were pregnant?
Yeah, Dad's. Oh, he was quite happy. Oh, yeah, happy as Larry. He thought he'd done the job in the end, yeah. You know what I mean.
And how did you react?
Oh, I don't know. I was never terribly, no, not frightfully enamoured with it ever. Not really, no.
What, being pregnant or having children?
Being pregnant and, you know, no.
Did you keep well?
Yeah, yes I did, thank goodness. My mother was the worst. I mean, you know, she was fussing and
what was their reaction?
oh, over the moon, you know. They were absolutely, yeah. She was more thrilled than me when I produced Ian, I can tell you. Because it was a boy, and she always wanted like a son, you know. Oh, she was in her seventh heaven, my mother. Bless her.
And what happened to the dog?
Oh, take the ruddy dog, didn't it? Oh, and that's another story too. What about the dog when we were packing up? Oh well, so he came home. Oh, fixed about 9. I said, oh good, what's happened? Oh, he said this bloke we knew lived round the corner. They're gonna have him. So I said, oh well, fine, that's good, thank goodness. So the morning came when he was going to put me on the train at Hythe for London, you see, and he was coming up on his motorbike because the bike had to come up. Right. So everything was organised, luggage and everything, and we got a friend to drive us to the station. Got to the station. Ticket for me. He got the ruddy dog on the lead. Yeah, on the platform. Got a platform ticket. Holding the dog on the lead. Waiting for the train to come in. Me with my suitcase.
How pregnant were you?
About 5 or 6 months. Yeah, there's a friend waiting in the car out the road. Right. Train comes in, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, puts me in the carriage, you know. Yeah, kiss, goodbye darling, I'll see you in London, now well, be careful on the bike. Oh yes love, yeah. Yeah, whistle, right? Now I'd shoved in the carriage and the door shut. Train just about moving. It's your father. I thought, I'll kill him. That's it, baby or not, divorce. I'll kill him. And this bloody dog under the seat in the carriage. There's 2 more people in the carriage. me.
Didn't you say anything?
What could I say? I couldn't get him gone, hadn't I? The train had gone, the train was moving. You know, I could just see him vaguely.
Had you expressed a wish not to take the dog?
Yes! I mean, I never he knew he couldn't take the dog.
Why didn't you think you could take the dog?
Well, I mean, you can't. I was going back to them, which was very good of my parents to have me back, put a bloody dog on top of them, who wasn't used to the place or anything, and me pregnant. I mean, there's nothing I could do. But he wasn't too bad on that. He stayed under the, I suppose about an hour and a half to London. Got out of Victoria, I think it was Victoria. I got this bloody suitcase, dog on a lead, and I had to get to Streatham on a tram, and you can only go upstairs with an animal. So I struggled out of the station. Luckily, I knew where I was and what to do. It wasn't in a strange place. I knew London. Done the journeys heaps of time. Got on the blooming upstairs with this bloody dog up the stairs, scrambling up the stairs on a lead, and me. I thought, I'll have a miscarriage, that's it, and a damn good job, serve him bloody well right. That's the finish of my marriage, Air Force or not Air Force, that's it. That's finished. I'm very sorry, but that's it. Fuming. Got home to me. Eventually got to my parents, exhausted. My mother nearly had 5 million fits with this bloody dog. Dared let him out because he didn't know, there was no enclosed garden or anything. Anyway, I suppose we calmed down a bit and waited for this lordship to arrive on the bike. I said, he's got come here, remember. Oh well, it arrived on the bike, didn't it? I opened the door to him, but all the smiles, and the dog welcomed him, the dog, he loved, oh, lovely as my friend, and all over him, you see. And I didn't divorce him last night.
So what did you say to him?
I don't know what I said. I don't know. Anyway, we must have.
How did the dog fit in?
I was a nip.
How did...
He wasn't all that bad, really. No, he wasn't all that bad.
Did you have to take him for walks instead of letting him out?
Yes, but I had my father see. He was quite good. He used to take him around a bit, he barely stayed. He had to bring him well stay, and that was it. Good, never got rid of the bloody thing. Never got rid of the bloody thing.
No, Dad obviously had a real bond with it.
Oh yes, See, he'd had this dog through his aunt had kept this dog, but it was Dad's dog called Paul, and Paul, when I knew Dad, was blind. Paul was very old. Dad had had him. It was his dog for many years. Although he was at boarding school, his aunt kept him. And I think all his affection had gone to Paul. He was a lovely old collie sort of dog. Paul was blind. And in the end, he passed away, he got very old, and Dad was very upset, but so he had an affinity for, he had dogs. Well, I wasn't in it where the dog was concerned.
So you were living with your parents, and you were pregnant, and he was away?
Yes.
How often did he get down?
Well, most weekends, I think. Most, not all, probably, no. But most weekends, probably, yeah.
And did you want a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Quite adamantly.
Oh, yes.
And got names picked out?
Yes.
Well, Tell me about the confinement.
Well, I was supposed to go to King's College Hospital, very nice hospital, Denmark Hill, which is just a bus ride from Streatham. And I went there for right up until I was almost having. And then about a week or so before Ian was born, we had a letter down to say there'd been an infection in the ward, and that if I started labour, would I ring them up, somebody ring them up, and they would put me somewhere. The ward was shut, you see. So of course, lo and behold, I did, didn't I? So I had to go to St James's, Balham, which was quite a different district, a very, very low, really, not such a nice at all, but I mean, very old hospital, all cold corridors. Anyway, I didn't, it was the middle of the night, but that's where I had to go. That's where Ian was born.
Was Dad away?
Yes, he was away. Oh, yes. And so Ian was born. I went in about 2 or 3 o'clock, and Ian was born about 8. I had a fairly quick pregnancy. And then, of course, they ran Dad, or wired him, I don't know who did what, my mother or Auntie Jessie, or who did what. And of course he got compassion. He was down the next day, you see. And I always remember that it wasn't visiting time when he came, was it? They were very strict, you only could go visiting time. And of course he comes into the hospital, you see. And, they didn't really want to let him in. It wasn't visiting time. Of course he was in his uniform, and the ward started, pretty well hovering by then. Not started, but it was talked about and things like that. So in the end they let him in. And the poor hotel, this big long wall full of all these women. It's a big long wall, And he had to walk down. He was looking at every bed and thinking, oh, yes, nothing at all. He's the only visitor.
So was it an emotional time?
We were too self-conscious to be very emotional, I think. So I sent him off to see Ian, and he went. They let him in to see Ian in the nursery, But then I think he had a couple of days, and he came the next day or that evening again, and then of course he had to go back again.
And tell me about baby Ian. How heavy was he?
Oh, I think it's about 7.5 pounds. Yeah, reasonable. Just a, healthy baby. Thank goodness, nothing seemed to be wrong with him. No, and I fed him.
How long were you in hospital?
10 days. Yeah. 8 days in bed, 9 days up and bathing the baby, 10 days out on your ear. I never handled a baby. Never had anything to do with babies at all in my life. Never. I can't ever remember having held a little baby as young as that in my life. I had no sisters, no brothers. And I had nothing to do with babies at all. And on the 9th day, they said, right, get up and bath your baby this morning. I mean, it's like a military, these hospitals in those days. You get up and you bath your baby this morning, Mother. Up you had to get. And produce the baby in the bath. And you had to, I was terrified. This wriggling little thing. And then you laid it down on a sort of a table and you're supposed to dress it, and I was all fingers and thumbs, and Ian was all arms and legs, and I thought, oh, for God's sake, it's awful. Anyway, I got round to it, did it? Had to do it, didn't you?
Did you find it frightening when you took it home?
Yes, a bit, but once I got him home I had support, didn't I? You see, we had people to help a bit, but no, I think that I quite enjoyed it after that, after I got over the first awful bathing business, yeah. And he was a good little soul.
He slept right through.
Yeah, he was all, yes. He was, always, yeah. Always good. Well, you know, he did what he should do, 4-hour feeds and so on, and yeah. Always a wonderful routine here, and still is. Isn't it amazing?
So did you impose the routine on him and he just
Yes, because
stuck with
that was what we were told, you see. In hospital you had 4-hourly feeds. Unless something, you know, that was the normal, anything different. Well, I mean, that was done by the doctors or whatever, according to them, I suppose. But being that it was a normal pregnancy and all, you know, 4-hourly feeds, the baby was brought to you 4-hourly to be fed. And that's what you're supposed to carry on with at home, which you did. No messing about in between or anything.
and he conformed?
Yeah.
How long did this situation with Dad up visiting weekends and you?
Oh, well, then you see, then well, then he finished his initial training. Ian was born in February, and he finished his initial training about May or June, probably, not long after he was born. And he was posted to Cardington, Bedfordshire, the big air, you know, with the big airships. 101 from there, and they had these great big. But it wasn't only that, you see. It was a big. Cardington was a big city, Bedfordshire. But that wasn't bad. That was only 40 miles from London, you know. So that wasn't bad. So off he went to Bedfordshire, and. So he said, all right, well, you know, I'm stationed here, so I'll probably be here for 3 years. You know, he's in the Air Force, he's done his initial training, and usually it's a 3-year posting. I'll look round for, you know, something. So he came up one weekend, and he said, oh, I found a little cottage, you know, he said, in a little village called Malden. He said it's a little furnished place, you know, and it's in Chapel Park. And he said, I'll be coming up to fetch you. We were running a little Austin 7 then, he bought this little Austin. I'll come up and fetch you, you know, next weekend. So of course I, you know, got sort of packed up a bit and things like that. And so he came up. And in this Austin 7, we had Ian in a bassinet thing on the back seat and Nigel on the floor. Me in the front, cases piled to the rooftops. And set off for Malden, didn't we? It was Sunday, you see, set off for Malden. And I can always remember him saying, I think we must have been sort of Flitwick way or Silso way, I'm not sure. He said, now, he said, you watch, you'll see Malden Church, because he said that's on a hill. And he said that'll be the first thing that you'll see, he said, and that's the village, you know. And sure enough, you could see Malden Church, you know, from quite a way away. He said, yeah, look, there you are, there's Malden Church, you know, and we're not far from there, sort of thing. I always remember that. And so we landed at this little old cottage in Chapel Park, you see.
Before we entirely leave Ian, did he come round about when he was due?
Yes. It was about a couple of weeks late, so they said.
And what was the actual date of his birth?
20th of February.
And the year?
39. The war broke out.
And what had you done with your furniture?
We put it in store.
So
Well, it was not much. We didn't have an awful lot, so we put it in. I think we sold some that we, you know, but anything that we really wanted to keep, we just put in store at high.
So now you got it out of store, did you? And
No, because we had a furnished cottage. It was furnished. No, we didn't. And so Dad went backwards and forwards to Cardington every day. And the first thing that Nigel did, you see, was to kill God knows how many pullets. He wasn't used to the country, so, you know, he got out. Oh, God, if I curse that bloody dog. Oh, my married life, I curse that bloody dog. He got out, and first thing I knew about it was this man came and he said, your dog's killed my pullets. You know. I said, oh well, I had to wait till my husband comes home to see him. Oh, Dad, you know, my fault for letting him out, it was all my fault. And he had to pay for this blooming pullet. He was flogging them all around the village.
What to eat?
Yeah, in the pub. They would pay him 2 shillings for his blooming pullet. And to make matters worse, he said, we'll have 2. We can eat them. And, I mean, I wasn't a country person, see. And we had an outdoor loo. Well, yeah, it was outdoor really, but it wasn't all that far outdoor, out your back door and into the loo. Well, he got these ruddy pullets, feathers and all, and hung them in the loo by their necks. I don't know what he thought he was going to do with them, or what he thought I was going to do with them. I went to the loo, didn't I? And there was these dead pullets hanging by their necks with their eye, you know. He nearly got divorced from that too. So he had to get rid of them. But he wouldn't get rid of the dog.
Did you fight much?
Yeah. Oh, quite a bit, love. Oh, I packed my bag. He never threatened to leave me, but I always threatened to leave him. So, oh no, anyway, we settled with the pullets, and